Welcome to the 2 to 20 podcast, the podcast that empowers women how to build, fund, and scale their businesses. I'm Katie Vander.
And I'm Julia Bell, and today we have a very, very special guest, Teal Cooper, one of my very good friends, and also the co-founder and president of VendiBean. Teal, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm so
We're
excited.
so excited. Okay, so I feel like everything there is to know about you, but I'm just going to kick it over to you to share a little bit more. I will say, because I know you're not going to say it, but Teal is a Forbes 30 under 30 lister. She has all of the accolades and accomplishments. She's absolutely amazing, so smart, so badass. And I'm so excited to just have this discussion with you. So I'm going to kick it over to you to give a little bit about yourself and background.
You're the sweetest. Oh my God. No, I'm really excited. For me, co-founder of Vendi with my brother, we started a beverage tech company almost 9 years ago, which is crazy, and have bootstrapped this hardware beverage service B2B company. Not the easiest industry to be in, but it's been a journey, and we've made it through COVID and we have become profitable. So we're really really grateful that we've made it this far and excited to share more on the journey.
Amazing. I want to touch on what happened in COVID in a little bit, but first I want to talk about funding. So you guys bootstrapped to 5 million in ARR, which is absolutely incredible through a 3-year global pandemic in one of the hardest industries and the hardest categories to break into. So can you tell us a little bit about that decision? I mean, you guys were in college or right after college, right? When you started this. So
Yeah.
what was the landscape like? Were you like, we're just going to put a little bit of money in and see of our own to see what happens? Or what's like the backstory with that?
Yeah. So we had a family and friend invest $50,000 in the very beginning to help kickstart the company and get it off the ground. Before that even happened, our dad gave us a loan for $6,000 to buy our very first machine that we launched at SDSU's campus. And that machine was like a complete bust. It was absolutely disgusting. The coffee was so gross. The machine was just extremely janky. We knew nothing about the industry, nothing about anything about the space. So we just kind of dove in headfirst impulsively and were super naive, which looking back was a huge blessing. But it's funny because I think about the bootstrapping journey, and my mindset as an entrepreneur then was so much I looked up to startups and entrepreneurs that have raised from these big VCs and investors with just googly eyes. And I wanted that same credibility. And I think it was a lot about ego and image, and I thought it was a token to success. And so we actually tried raising 3 different times from VCs and got rejected every single time. And so I think being in hardware, and by the way, all those 3 times we were profitable and had a viable product. So I was seeing all these other startups with no product, no profitability, raising millions of dollars, and just being super confused about the entire just startup culture. And we ended up bootstrapping. We did take out loans from financial institutions and lines of credit, and we finance our machines, but we've never raised from VC money or other outside investors since. But now my mindset's completely shifted to where I look at companies and googly eyes that have gotten to 30 plus million in annual revenue from bootstrapping. So it's a complete shift, I would say. But yeah, we just had a really interesting journey, I guess, with the whole raise situation.
I mean, the
Teal, I
fact
have a
you're
question because sorry, Julia, I was gonna say because I know you know her story a bit more, but were you guys, just backing up for context for me too, when you were in college, were you studying business, or was what was your major? Do you have entrepreneurs in the family? Because I feel like there's sort of a lot of that goes into deciding how to take out lines, even being able to understand how to take out lines of credit. So I mean, I think even
Yeah.
if you're trying to raise venture capital, or understanding how to stack credit, take out credit lines, being able to understand that still takes a lot. So I'm curious about your background there.
Totally. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. My dad is a successful real estate entrepreneur, and he was really helpful with guidance and being a mentor for taking lines of credit and dealing with banks, because he's done that a ton throughout his career. So we wouldn't have been able to navigate that probably without that mentorship. I would say my major was not business. I had no business background. I was horrible with math and numbers and accounting. My brother is really good at that. So our skill sets complement each other really well. But My major was more on marketing and media studies is what it was called back in the day, I guess. So I guess that was what I focused on. But yeah, my brother's more like econ major, but no business background.
And you got the idea because, correct me if I'm wrong, but someone studied abroad or you were in Europe. I mean, these coffee vending machines are common in Europe where you can get like a high quality coffee or espresso or latte in Europe, but here in the US, that's non-existent until you guys. So, or what was the impetus behind the idea?
Yeah, exactly. So it was funny because I studied abroad in Florence, and this is my junior year. And at this point, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, but I stumbled across this coffee vending machine at our university abroad, and it didn't look like anything special. It was kind of just bulky, but there was always a line of students waiting for a coffee from this machine. And so I was like, I have to try this. This is so rare. I've never seen anyone in line for a vending machine ever in the States. And the espresso or latte I got was actually really good, and I was shocked, but truthfully, I never thought of it again. I was like, that must be some crazy European thing. And then a couple weeks later, my brother called me while I was still studying abroad, and he was like, oh my God, I have the best idea. I'm studying for finals in the library. Everything's closed. What if there was a coffee vending machine that kids actually wanted to drink at college campuses? And what if it was called VendiBean? It was just this light bulb moment where I was like, I just experienced this exact concept in
Whoa.
Italy. Like, this is the thing. We can bring this concept to the US and make it our own, put our own twist to it. Um, and that's kind of how the whole concept came to be. But it was the first time in my life where I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do, because I was so lost up until then. So it was crazy.
And working with your sibling.
Yeah. Yeah. How is that?
So funny because I just posted a TikTok about it to this like voiceover about saying like take a U-turn, don't do it about working with your family. Like there's pros and cons. Like I'm very grateful to be able to work with my brother. We have trust unlike any other co-founder could have because it's family. But at the end of the day, there's also boundaries that are crossed constantly because of how you speak to each other and you know about bombarding each other at all hours of the day. It's just tough to you have to be really strict with during these days of the week and these hours we're co-founders not siblings and being able to take the hats on and off but we did go to therapy years ago for like 2 years straight every week and I think that helped a lot but it's yeah I think it definitely has its challenges but I think there's a lot of pros.
I feel like too, like at family functions, it's probably hard not to want to talk about business and there's no like separation sometimes. So reminding yourselves of that is probably super
It's so
important.
hard. And like everyone around doesn't want to hear about your business. So it's like, just shut up. Like it's somewhere else. But we've gotten a lot better. And also hiring people has helped a lot because when you have a team, you have to put on your best behavior in front of everyone. And you can't just tell someone they're like, you can't call me an idiot in front of anyone else. If I make a mistake, or vice versa. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, you mentioned TikTok. I want to go there real quick. You've been posting and really like building in public and sharing more about your story. So has that helped? I feel like I've seen some of your videos that have gotten so many views and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I need this for my office." Like, are you using this as a sales channel or just general awareness?
okay, so because I've been doing this for 9 years and I go in waves and phases of being really consistent and good about posting about building in public. And then I take like a year hiatus. And so this past couple months, like our group of friends, like Julia, everyone's been really consistent with TikTok. It's been really inspiring. And I just started posting really consistently about VendiBean. And honestly, I didn't realize it could be a useful sales channel until that one video I posted went viral. It had like 500,000 views and we got like 50 leads on our website. And we just installed a
Amazing.
machine at one of those. So it works. Like it's crazy. And so now I'm like, okay, wow, this is a whole new vertical that can create leads that I need to take seriously. But it's also hard not to get discouraged when you're posting every day and nothing is taking off like it did, and not to get in your head and not to, you know, let that stop you. So it's like it goes in waves. Like I think just being consistent is an accomplishment as like on its own.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've had trouble with that. Even LinkedIn, I know I need to be posting on there all the time. And Katie, you're really good at posting on LinkedIn.
Well, yes and no. I also go in phases. I feel like I'll have months where I'm really consistent. I also, it is sort of like related to if I'm hosting events in person. So like there's content from that, but or like I just went to Europe for work, and so there was like a reason around it, but it's hard with the in between. So being able to like be consistent with creating like interesting content. Also, I think LinkedIn is so different obviously than what I'm posting on TikTok. I'm so much more casual and I think like fun on TikTok and maybe a little bit more like serious on LinkedIn. So I don't know. It is all
Oh my
just a
gosh.
lot to think
I
about.
saw someone who's like an acquaintance of mine at a restaurant last night, and she was like, "Yeah, you've just been showing up on my TikTok. So I feel like I know everything about you recently." And I was like, I got red. Like I was embarrassed. Not that I'm posting anything embarrassing, but it just felt so like vulnerable. Like I was like, wait, what? I thought my TikTok only went to strangers.
That's how I feel about TikTok. Oh, I love it so much is because I feel like people we know don't see it, but that's so not the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what Julia, you've been like blowing up on TikTok,
Yeah.
and this series has been a genius like move. So that's been really inspiring to me. Of like, okay, just keep going. You know, there will be
Okay,
a
but the video I posted, I think this morning has like 11 views. But it's like, like some
It
videos
happens.
have 200,000, three hundred
yeah,
thousand. Others have, like a handful, and you just have to keep going. So I think what you
totally.
said about consistency is so true. And
Yeah,
kind of like wrapping it back to your business and consistency. You guys have been around for 9 years, and I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Teal, but when you started this, I think we all like when we start businesses, sometimes we don't know how difficult it's
yeah,
going to be. And some of that is like helpful to have that like these like rose colored glasses so that you kind of don't know how hard it's going to be. And then you talk yourself out of it. So one thing that I know was really hard was COVID. So I do want to give you a chance to talk about that because I feel like just office related products and services completely took a hit. And so what did you guys do during that time? And then how has the bounce back been now that we're like, I don't know, like 2 years out of COVID? Like, what would you say, 2 years? I feel like
yeah.
we're still seeing the repercussions, but
No, for sure. COVID was like my own personal rock bottom because I was so attached to my company being my identity. And it felt like my company was like shattered overnight. Like it honestly was so, so bad. We were just about to hit $1 million in ARR for the first time in March of 2020. And it finally felt like we were getting our footings and like the swing of things. And then COVID happened. And our revenue literally dropped like 90% overnight. Like it was wild. And I felt like I had no purpose. I was like, what am I going to do if this company fails? Like it was just a huge awakening for me personally. Like that's when I got into like spirituality too. Like when I read all these spirituality books and had my own awakening in that way. But with COVID, it was actually wild because like after 2 months of just feeling like a victim and sorry for myself and crying every day and walking for hours, I was just like, I'm going to surrender. I'm just so done trying to force this. If it's meant to be, it'll be. And I just asked the universe for a sign, like, show me a sign if my company's supposed to make it through COVID. And I'm not kidding you, like 2 weeks later, I go on Facebook, which I never go on anymore, like our company Facebook. And I'm just going through like old DMs and I see this message from a Marine at Camp Pendleton. And he was like, hey, love your guys' machines. Like, I'm a Marine here at Camp Pendleton, would love to get you guys on base. And I was like, there's no way this guy's going to get us on base. He's a Marine. Like, it's so hard to get a government contract, like to get into procurement. To me, that felt like so much red tape. Like, I already couldn't get into universities at this time or even like hospitals. So I was like, military is way harder. And then I took a call with him and he was like, no, I'm actually like really close with the procurement director. Set up a like in-person meeting with him. And then it led to a meeting with the procurement director. And then next thing you know, they're installing 20 machines on Camp Pendleton's Marine base, like in COVID.
That's
And it
amazing.
honestly like saved our company because at that time, I mean, the machines were doing the most we've ever seen any vending machine of ours generate, like revenue wise. And then that led to the military base in San Diego, the Miramar one. And then it led to a base in North Carolina and then in Washington. And it kind of just like snowballed. And then by the time we also got all the loans you could possibly get in COVID, which really helped. But by the time COVID started kind of like trickling down and people starting to go back, because a lot of companies were wanting to go back like as soon as possible, but a lot of the ones in California and Northern California were the opposite. But by that point, like I would say probably 2 years into like the military taking off and expanding, we started seeing companies wanting to go back. So it wasn't full force. Like it wasn't Monday through Friday, but it was at least like 2 days a week. And then we started opening up markets in Austin and Dallas and like different areas outside of California, which I think also helped offset all the slowness. But it's honestly still like not fully back. Like I have sales calls with our team when I watch recordings, and a lot of companies are just in office Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But the difference now is they're looking to spend money on amenities to drive people into the office, whereas before there wasn't this drive for like coming back. So it's been
Yeah.
wild.
I mean, I like make my own latte every day, and I'm about to get a VendiBean machine in my house because I'm so tired of making these lattes. So
I want to do in my house so bad.
yeah,
Also, like,
we all deserve it. You should make minis. Sorry,
I
no.
know.
Sending you on another path. But okay, and that all happened because of a Facebook message. That's
Yeah,
so wild.
it was crazy. It was the universe, coming through.
Yeah.
Like, this is your sign. And that's why, like, since then, I was like, okay, we're supposed to make it through this. Like, I'm supposed to be doing this with my life. Like, it's
Yeah.
validation.
Yeah. Okay, so because you're like this sales genius and you've used all these different types of sales and marketing strategies, I would love it if you could share like the most rogue thing that you've done. And I have a couple of stories that I know that you've told, and I don't know if they're public knowledge, but either that or you could lean into like what partnerships you've leveraged. So
I want to go into the partnerships, but first I want to hear what the rogue stories are, because I can't even think of
okay,
one.
didn't you like email Mark Cuban with a subject line like my mother-in-law or like
No.
my
Yeah, I emailed him and said, my mom's friends with your wife.
and he responded, right?
This is when we wanted to raise money. This was to get an investor. And then he responded and was like, your company's not the right fit for me, but you should go on the show. And then the Shark Tank producers reached out to me like the next day. And I was like, we don't want to
That's
go,
awesome.
but thanks. Yeah, that
That's
was crazy.
hilarious.
I feel like I've just been really like bold and fearless and not really caring. Like, I also think I took the fake it till you make it thing kind of too far at times, where I would kind of say we're working with certain companies where we're not, just to prove credibility to companies that needed to hear it for them to take a chance on us. Whereas like I already believed in myself and believed in our brand and company, but sometimes I felt you have to white lie a little bit to get them to see the same value. But it wasn't like a full lie, because I was working with them. I was having calls with them. We just weren't installed yet, But I would just like walk in with samples. Like I would show up to our nearest coffee machine with a Starbucks tray and put a bunch of cups or drinks with lids and write the drink on the cup, and would just show up to offices and befriend the what's the front desk, the receptionist. And I think that went a long way, because before COVID, this would never work now. Like no one would ever drink something random that you'd bring to them.
Probably not.
No, but before it worked. And I feel like that's how we placed a lot of our machines in the beginning. And then it was funny because I would sell them and then I would install it with like our third party moving company. And then I would go and fix the machine if anything broke down. So they were like, this girl's insane. Like she's doing all the different roles. And it was just
You
hilarious.
have to as a founder, right? You have to wear all those hats. And I mean, I know like some of the sales tools you've sat down and explained to me, like HubSpot, you have so many automations now, but you didn't have that when you first
Yeah.
got started. Like you were doing everything manually.
Yes.
Which is
Manually, everything. And honestly, like I think with bootstrapping, you're forced to do all the roles yourself instead of hiring. And so when you do that, you actually learn your company and the industry way more. And then when it is time to hire, you know exactly the person to hire, because you know the role and like the criteria at the granular level, because you've done it yourself. So I think it does like play to your benefit a lot.
yeah, and you can teach them more easily probably because you
Sure.
had to do it for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give you a chance to talk about partnerships because I know this industry is kind of antiquated, right? And there's some like big heavy hitters that have been
Yeah.
delivering these types of like office coffee or even food products forever. And so the companies are so established. Like, how do you break in
Yeah.
and potentially partner with them?
Yeah. So the office coffee and coffee vending industries, like you said, are extremely archaic. And there's really three companies that dominate this industry. They're Aramark, Canteen, Sodexo. Most of these companies, most people have never heard of, but they're like billion-dollar companies. So first you had to get to the level of scale to make them notice you, which is number one, which you have to do on your own, like getting your own clients by making your own brand, getting your own like establishment, I would say. But I always knew from day one, like we were never going to be able to beat them. We had to join them if we wanted to actually scale this company to what we want to scale it to. So the first thing we did was actually reached out to a company that's in our industry, but they do what we were doing for sparkling water, basically. It's called Bevy. They're like an innovative sparkling water flavored machine for offices. And I reached out to their founder and asked if he could sit on our board, which we don't really have a board, but he's our one advisor on our board. We meet with him once a
Now you
month.
do. Now you have a board.
Board of advisors, and we have one meeting a month where we have a list of questions we ask him, and he answers all of our questions, and he's literally laid out the roadmap for us of like, here's what we did. Now they're a $100 million company, and they've raised probably 50 million, so they didn't necessarily bootstrap, but it's still the same roadmap. And I guess it wasn't until last year, there was the director of innovation for Aramark that I emailed probably 20 times to try to get a meeting with him. He never, ever once responded. We have one massive trade show every year called NAMA. It's like the industry trade show. And last year I was like, my goal to get in front of those three companies and the three people at each of those companies. And Bevy already has relationships with all of them. So I went to their booth. I made friends with their girls on the ground, like the sales teams. And I said, here's my number. Can you text me when these people come to your booth? I'll sprint over and I'll bring them to my booth and make this happen because I'm only here in this room with these people once a year. Right. And she's like, yeah, I'll text you when the director of innovation from Aramark comes. So she texted me, he's here. And I sprinted over and I was like, oh my God, so nervous. And she's like, oh, hey, this is Teal. Introduced me to the man. I was like, I would love to show you our machine for 2 seconds. He was like, yeah, no problem. Walked him over to our machine. He tried it. He was like, yeah, I'm down to pilot this. I was like, okay.
Just like that. Wow.
He was like, I'm super interested. Let's do a demo. Let's connect after this. And so hopped on a call. Now we talk all the time on a texting basis. Like this man is incredible. And we've now launched 10 markets with Aramark. And I'm meeting with him tomorrow to talk about a national rollout for next quarter.
Amazing.
So it's like, that was a year ago, last May. And it took a year to now get to national, but like all these things, it just takes time. And like, if I didn't get in front of him at that time, like this wouldn't have happened because I'm sure he gets bombarded with people trying to get his attention to set up a call daily.
Yeah. Wait, I had a question. It just escaped me. Oh, demoing.
Yeah.
How do you demo when it's like a vending machine, or do you just have a video, or do you bring them to another office to show them? I mean, obviously the trade show you have.
Yes, the trade show we have them there, but demo was like, let's get this in a client. Like, let's pilot this. So
Okay.
eventually I had clients lined up that were in markets that we don't service, like other cities. And so I reached out to all of them and I said, hey, we have a channel partner, would love to install and go through our channel partner. So we did a whole pilot where we sent our team out to train their tech team. I think the first one was in Washington, like outskirts of Washington. And we trained their tech team. We helped them install this account. We like trained them on everything SOP wise with the machine and all of the processes. And then it was like kind of off to the races. We got feedback from the client, from the service team, from Aramark, and then did that 10 more times. And a lot of them were me passing over deals. Like we got all of their opportunities for them. So it's like, okay, there's this girl with this company and she's giving us opportunities and deals. So it's kind of like a no brainer. They kind of have to go with it because I'm bringing them more revenue. So I kind of
That's so smart, Teal.
Yeah. I had to.
So the company already procures with Aramark, and you establish a relationship with the company, knowing that they have to buy from Aramark because they have this contract with them. And so you kind of bring the deal to them.
So that happens, but that's not what happened this original time. So all the 10 deals I brought to them were companies that wanted VendiBean from reaching out to us directly. Or they were our client in LA, but they talked to me already about expanding to their Seattle office or their Miami office. So I reached back out to them and said, hey, we have a partner now in Miami. Let's install. And then I looped in Airmark. I said, I have this new client for you. Let's install. We'll train, we'll get you onboarded. And I basically passed over new deals to them to bring them more revenue.
You're bringing them business, which is kind of full circle. So it's going both ways. They might bring you into new territories. You might be bringing them.
But then they have clients they already work with that have reached out to me about wanting our machine. And we just go through them now. Like, okay, great. You can continue to go through Airmark. You'll just we distribute to them and you can go through them and make it seamless. But eventually we're going to be going with all the partners, not just them, where I want them to all compete against each other. So right now I only really have one, but the goal is to have all three of them where I don't have ties to just one of them.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And something you kind of explained to me when we first met about your business is that so much of it is service, and you have to have technicians that are helping to keep the machines up and running, to restock them and everything else. So leveraging these partnerships is going to help you scale so much faster than if you had employees, technicians all over the country potentially. So that's genius. I love it.
It'd be impossible to scale nationwide by bootstrapping, in the timeline I want to. It just would be so hard. You have to leverage the partners.
Yeah. I'm smiling when you said in the timeline that you want to. Teal is so if I had to pick an emoji for Teal, it would be the fire emoji. She's just go, 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 always so bubbly and excited and fiery, and I don't just wants to literally take over the world, and I'm obsessed with that energy. But I also want to talk about how you keep yourself in check and just being a founder through the ups and downs and your mindset around everything. I know that you mentioned the spirituality and leaning into that, but are there any other practices you do either daily, weekly, monthly to help keep you?
It's so funny because I used to be obsessed with putting timelines on my goals, and now I don't do that ever. It just creates too much attachment. It creates anxiety and all this pressure that I put on myself. So instead, I do the opposite. In my morning routine, I focus on gratitude for my life, how far I've come, and just things I'm grateful for. And then I have the vision board I made at your house, actually, right in front of where I do my gratitude, and I will stare at it and then journal. And I'll either journal brain dumping, or I'll journal what I really love doing are these exercises called future scripting, where you write about your life as if you're talking about your day yesterday, but a year or 3 years from now, with all the things you want to unfold, but pretending they've already happened, and getting into the details. And basically it gets you into the headspace of it already unfolding and embodying that energy. And that is just a fun practice that I like to do that helps get me in the right energy, I guess. But yeah, I think the timeline thing, I stopped attaching and stopped obsessing over it, because I used to be 5 years and we're done, or we need to exit in these amount of years. And now it's just I'm okay if I do this for X however many years. I don't need to live my life like that.
Yeah. No, I think that is so important. For me, that switch happened when I turned 30.
Yeah.
It started to switch because I felt the pressure of not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Something changed in me at 30. Now I'm an elder.
I agree.
Okay, Katie, go ahead. Look like you.
Teal, I was wondering kind of around the idea of mindset. One of the things that you said that I liked was the question is around rejection, but maybe more so redirection. Because one of the things you said that I liked was you tried to raise a few times, it didn't work, but it just sounded like it was meant to be. So I liked kind of that idea. So I wonder if you have any thoughts around mindset in relation to rejection.
Totally. I also think just in sales, when you're doing sales, rejection is just part of the job. So I had to get really used to dealing with rejection. And I think you can only learn that by experiencing it over and over and over again. And it just creates thicker skin. So eventually I got to the point where I would look back and be if that actually played out, I wouldn't be able to do X, Y, Z, where you can connect the dots looking back. And eventually it changes your mindset to maybe it's being grateful, that this didn't happen and something else better is coming. Or if that did happen, maybe we would have grown out of our shoes and the company wouldn't have made it. Like there's always a different paths. And I always think about different like realities that can unfold that wouldn't have happened if something did or didn't transpire. So I've just completely changed my thought process to if something doesn't happen, it's not meant to be, like with the whole raise. And it's also like maybe it's not now, but maybe it's down the line with closing a massive deal. Like there's been a ton of times I've gotten rejected early days by a company and now we're working with them when the timing was more right. So I think timing plays a huge part of it.
And if you do end up raising, you're going to get such a better deal because
Totally.
you have this amazingly established business already. Okay. I would like to finish this up with any advice that you have for other founders. It can be more broadly, it can be female founders, it can be your industry or any advice.
I think two. So one is to not compare your timeline to anyone else. I know timeline's a big theme for me, but I think every person's path is so different and everyone's industry is so different. So to compare your journey to others is just a waste of time and is only going to create more doubt or like negative energy within you. And then two is really just detaching from the outcome. Like for me, there's been a lot of times where I obsess over achieving something and hitting a milestone and I get attached to the like the result of it. And I think, oh my God, once this happens, it's going to be like hockey stick growth. Like we're going to have all this crazy traction momentum and then I'll achieve it. And it's like crickets. And so I'm like, keep getting let down by these things. Whereas if I just don't get so obsessed and like attached to things, I think I would just be happier and more even keeled, I think, all around. I also think it takes time to reap the benefits from something big that does transpire. So I think it's just not having these like crazy expectations and not attaching to these outcomes. So I guess those would be my two biggest pieces of advice.
I love it. Trying to stay close to middle ground as possible. It's harder, easier said than done. And I think it takes a practice, right? Like
Totally.
it's easier as you keep practicing that. But yeah, that's great advice. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. It was a great conversation. If people want to reach you, can you just drop your handles? Oh, whoops.
What is that? Sorry. We're all having technical problems. I muted everything. And of course, hold on. What is happening? Sorry. My brain central. Okay, we're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
if people want to get in touch with you, how should they?
Yeah. So Instagram or TikTok, it's just Teal Cooper, Teal.Cooper on both. Please connect.
Perfect. All
Well,
right. Thank
it was great meeting you.
Thanks for having me. You guys had so much fun.
Okay, love you. Bye.
I love you.